Oh my goodness. Hi, it's us, drummer mamas. It has been such a long time, I can only apologise. But you know, life, drum camps, kids, drum shows, all got in the way. But we are back. Welcome to the beginning of season 2. In this first episode, it's just me and Gemma, and we are discussing what we've been up to. But I start off with a bit of a grievance and something that had been affecting me a little bit. I wonder if you can relate. So I don't say anything because it's one of those things that you want to brush off and not be affected by. So I'm in a lucky position that I am supported by Veta drumsticks now. So sometimes I'll do a post and I will collab with them. And that for me can be a bit scary because then all of Veta's followers see my video. And so the other day there was a comment and it was, I'm going to read it to you. And go out and play with musicians. And then Veta, this was just a practice pad video that I did. Veta replied, "What's wrong with sharing exercises, tips and knowledge on social?" And then they replied, "Absolutely nothing. But as I went to her page, I saw that she never plays with musicians. What's wrong to give her an advice? The goal is not to make some music with the drums." So maybe English isn't her first language, but basically saying, this is how I saw it, is like, I don't really respect what she's saying because she's not playing in a band and she's not on tour and she's not playing with musicians. And honestly, it kind of really got under my skin because it's true. I'm not on tour. I'm not playing in a band next weekend or the weekend after that. I'm not. I sit in my drum room and I do little playthroughs. Sometimes I'll play on my pad. You know, I do other stuff too and teach and whatever.
Yeah, and you always have. That's the thing.
But it's like, if it doesn't, it feels like you are not given validation, or you're not respected unless it's all on socials. And part of me wanted to say, you know what, I was out touring Germany for months way before I was on Instagram, but you didn't know that, and I've done this and I've done that, and it brought up, like, it was really a learning moment because it brought up a lot of this not being enough stuff. And usually I go to, you know what, I don't know who you are and I don't care, and I don't really value your feedback because you have no idea about who I am and what I've done, and I don't care. I just care what my friends and family think. But that one moment I was like, oh, you got me.
Yeah. Well, that kind of stuff makes me really mad. I felt really angry about it. Firstly, because I know you and I know all the things you have done. And like you say, for years, for years. I think we've known each other nearly 20 years now. I had a message the other day to say that I joined Twitter 13 years ago. And I was like, that's insane. And that's, there was a whole load of time before that where we weren't doing stuff on social media. It actually wasn't even really like a thing to, show everything you do on social media. So it's a bit ridiculous to just assume, that everyone shows every single thing they do now also, exactly to followers and stuff. And yeah, but plus, I mean, so that's not music. If you're not playing with other people in a live situation, then you're not playing music, because that means I haven't played music for, 10 years. Because it's also not possible, you can't, we've got 2 kids each. You can't go out and be playing every night of the week, and it's just not possible. I feel lucky to even play now for this 1 hour a week, but that's still music. So yeah, just ignore it. That's just I would, yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting, isn't it? Because at the same time, if I'm really honest, I will say, I do miss playing with a band. But also, right now, I don't have time for it. Like, I'm recording for a band here and there, and I'm gigging with a band here and there at the minute, but I don't have time. Like, it's not even I would let the band down. If I joined a band, it would be a mistake. And it's funny because what if I did join a band, but it was like, you know, a fun, like, what if it was full of like retired dudes and we just played on a Wednesday and it was terrible? Does that mean I'm, you know, that's okay because I'm playing with musicians? What if the music's really shit?
Yeah, but the thing is, when someone like that makes a comment, it doesn't matter what you do, they will always find something negative about it because they obviously feel negative themselves. Otherwise, they wouldn't put that out there. So they probably have a massive issue themselves. That's what you always have to try and remember, that it's not you, it's them. But it really genuinely is. Like, I have got zero time for people who put negative shit on the internet. It really winds me up. There's just no need for it. And like, I mean, they will have taken 3 seconds to write their crappy comment, and then they probably haven't thought any more about it because they're then writing the next crappy comment to someone else and feeling all hateful or whatever. But it's then, you know, that resonates then for ages. That can really put someone back in their own playing for years. And you know, that can happen to the wrong person at the wrong time. That can make them stop playing. And that's just crap.
Yeah, I then overthought the next post that I did with Veta, and I was thinking, oh God, like I was waiting for a negative comment. And that's not right. It's not right, because in the end, I'm not trying to be, I'm just me, and I'm just trying to contribute. I'm not doing or promising anything else. And I think people feel that they can just say whatever they like to anyone. And, oh, because you are working with a company, then you must be delivering exactly the content I choose, and you must be of this skill level, when really it's just not. I'm not Benny Greb, sorry.
Veta, so I mean, Veta want you as an artist. So if they like your content and they like you, they'll post it, and that is the most important thing. There's always going to be someone who has to say their little bit, because that's just how stupid humans are. But it's really, probably there are, you know, compared to that one person who made the negative comment, there will be loads of others who really enjoyed it and who it gave them something to think about and something new. So you just have to think about them and not that one idiot. But it is hard. And it is, I just, really hate that. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all.
Boom, I live by that. I do. That is important. So I guess I just wanted to start with that, because I feel like that can come up a lot for us as parents, because we're not gigging possibly as much or at all. And yet we're still drummers. We're still contributing to the drumming community in whatever way that may be. We're doing it right now with this podcast. And I feel like so much has happened between our last episode with Karen to now.
Crazy, isn't it? That basically, for you, kicked off a whole idea and set a whole load of stuff in motion.
Yeah, now thanks to Karen, I've done 3 women drum camps. I've got a sold out one next month, and I've got a one the month after that. And I just think, oh, it's not going to stop now. That's it. Like, it's just become my like obsession. And it's been really, it's just, not to sound cheesy or dramatic, it's changed my life. Like, it has. Like, I've just had to rethink everything. and it's brought up lots of challenges. But it's been amazing. So thank you, Karen, for that.
Yeah. I find it really cool how it seems like it's really pulled everything into focus for you. And you've really gone for it. And I would also like to say, because I did know you nearly 20 years ago, right, so we went to music college together, and you were always, you were pretty good with stuff. But there were a couple of times when you were perhaps a little bit slack, maybe on deadlines, or not missing deadlines, but you weren't on it always. But now you're just like, you have an idea, you make it happen, and it, like, put 100% into it, and it's amazing.
Oh,
that was meant to be a compliment. That sounded actually like I was. It's not.
You were a bit slack at college.
You were a bit slack up. You weren't slack, but you just weren't. I don't know. It's now you're really focused on something, and you make it happen. And you don't just make it happen. You make it happen really well, like with excellent results. It's really good.
Thanks, Biff. Sorry, I don't know if I've called you Biff on this podcast. That's what we call each other.
That's all right. It doesn't matter.
Thanks. Yeah, I actually feel like it's weird. I do feel like I've gone through life and have made a deadline just about, like, crammed, brilliant crammer, night before, done. And some aspects of my life are still very much that way. But for this, I feel like talking to Karen, turning 40, is set me on this mission, and I have to do it. I have to give it my all, or don't do it. Like, I have to just do it the way I want it, because I feel like no one else is going to do it. It's up to you, and just do the thing. Do the thing is what I might get tattooed on my forehead. Just do it. Don't worry, because so many times I haven't done stuff because I thought, oh, I don't really want to ask. I don't want to bother that person, or oh, I don't know if anyone will come, or I don't really want to be that person who's advertising stuff. That's really cringe. And I'm still a little bit like that, in a sense of I want to do everything myself. But
yeah,
it's just shown me, it's given me a bit more confidence, I think, in myself, and that you can do the things. You just got to do it. You got to actually take action. It's all very well having ideas, but you have to do something every day.
Yeah. No, it's really good to see. I feel like I've regressed with that, because I used to be really on it when I 20 years ago. I was really on it with everything. And I feel like now I've just, I don't know. I have ideas, but getting them fully in motion is my problem at the moment. But yeah, that's a whole other thing.
So I wanted to ask you about the UK drum show. And how that was for you, being surrounded by so many beautiful drummers, because you got to interview quite a few, and you were like, going to company dinners, and I don't know, it looked like a jolly good time to me. So I wondered what that was like for you. Firstly, I want to know all the gossip, and secondly, I want to know how that felt with balancing the kids.
So it was really nice to be back at a drum show. I think everyone felt that after the pandemic, but it wasn't just the pandemic for me. It was really like after having kids, that was the first show that I was back at. And I was really lucky. So my partner came with me to Liverpool, which was a massive undertaking of just everything. Like, I had to book a lot of stuff to kind of think about the children, and like, he looked after them fully. I mean, I worked like 12-hour days basically at the show, And so he was really out in Liverpool with them the whole time, took them to loads of museums and stuff, but I kind of looked stuff up for them as well. So I wasn't just preparing for my job, which was interviewing artists for GEWA Music, who I work for. And yeah, so that was one side of it. And then they just went off and I was free to do the show the whole time and not worry about it, which was really also really nice just to be back in like drum world again. Yeah, gossip, I don't know. There wasn't a lot of gossip. Can't think of any.
Tell
Not
me
really
what it was that you were doing. What was your job?
So I was interviewing them so that we had content for marketing for over the next like 6 months after the show. And it's for the brands. So they represent, they distribute and they do marketing in Europe for Gretsch and DW and Pacific Drums and Percussion, plus a whole load of other brands. But those were the big ones that were there, as well as their own brand of digital drums. So they had like Eric Moore was there playing our digital drums, and then I had Mike Johnston there for Gretsch, and we had trying to think of else off the top of my head, Chris Turner. So he's plays in the band Ocean's 8 Alaska, is a phenomenal double bass drum player, like just amazing. And it was really nice to meet lots of like younger, newer players as well.
Gareth.
And like catch up with old people. Oh, not old people, that's wrong. Older colleagues. Catch up with them. Yeah. So yeah, it was just generally really nice to be back and like sort of networking with people again. I'd really missed that. It was like my old job where I was editor of Drummer magazine, and it was a bit more like that. Yeah. So it was really fun.
It sounds like, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but would it be fair to say that the build up to that was intense? It sounds like you'd have to figure out, like, as you say, sorting out the kids, but also, what am I going to ask Eric Moore with that? You know, I'm like, I would have just probably had a breakdown and gone red in the face, speaking to every drummer.
No, it's just then a bit like what you do with your podcast anyway. It's then, you know, like when you speak to so many people and you're all drummers, so you all have something to talk about. And then you just, even if you need to, you can think of something on sort of off the cuff. And but I did do a lot of planning. Like I think all but one interview I had fully planned, and then a couple were sort of sprung on me, where artists were there at the show that we didn't know about, or they were suddenly available when we didn't think they would have been. So yeah, I did do a lot of preparation, and it wasn't just that. Like I was in charge of making this little, like an autograph book for our artists so that they could sign them at the stands. So I had to provide like biographies and put all of that together. So there was like a lot of work before the show and just logistics for getting stuff printed, like, and dropped off in the right place and by the right time. So yeah, there was a lot.
How long were you planning, do you think?
Probably about 2 or 3 months. But I mean, there's a lot of other work that went on at the company that I wasn't even involved with. So a lot longer. Yeah.
Wow. And then can you say, how was it going to dinner with some drummers that you possibly have seen play, admired from afar, from along? What was it like?
It was a bit nerve-wracking. So I was stepping in for or I went along to like represent our company because they were all packing down the whole show. So I felt really guilty because it was work time, but I was going along and enjoying like eating, you know, a rack of ribs opposite Mike Johnston, which by the way was not a good choice. I shouldn't have picked ribs because I was just, you know, total mess. But yeah, so it's the wrong choice. Yeah, but it was fine. I mean, I enjoyed doing stuff like that. So it was nice to talk to people and get to know them a little bit more outside of the show as well. Like, because I mean, they were also feeling nervous. They were at a company dinner of the brands that represent them and stuff that they're endorsed by. So they were also kind of like, you know, wanting to be on their best behavior and everything. We were all in the same boat, so it was nice. It was really cool. I wish that there were more things like that still. Like I used to do that really in my job before with the magazine, and I don't get the chance to do that so much now. So I enjoyed every minute of it, including the ribs and, you know, being in a mess.
That sounds good. I'm glad that you could fully switch off and do that.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah, it was nice.
And it seems since then you have started drumming here and there for yourself and just creating that space. Tell us, how did that come around? Was it the UK drum show that inspired you, or what happened?
Yeah, it was really, because I just thought, I really have to do, you know, like, what's the point? Like, I've played this instrument since I was 10, and there was a time when I was all right at it as well, and then just to not do it anymore is stupid. Like, that's just such a waste. So I really tried to like carve out this 1 hour for myself every week, which I am struggling with. So it's not always 1 hour, and it's not always on a drum kit. I've just found that I'm happy if I can be just creative for an hour each week. But I felt really overwhelmed about like what to start with and kind of how to get back in, and the confidence thing. Like, we both know when we were at college that we were both a bit worried about playing in front of people and stuff. Like, I think it was just kind of the scenario that we were in of doing our degree, and we were like 2 girls, all the others were guys, and it was hard. And it really took me like a few years, basically after finishing that degree course, to feel really comfortable playing and out and gigging and stuff. And I feel like all that hard work on that has really just sort of gone to waste, because I feel exactly like I did back then right now. So, but I mean, it's not an issue because I'm playing on my own. I'm not playing music with other people. So it's okay. But I think, I'd really love to be gigging. Like, and I could be gigging, and I could be, you know, I could be touring, except I can't, because, you know, just life isn't that way right now. Plus, I don't know, this whole confidence thing, I don't know how that would be again for me, like on a stage and stuff right now. So it's a bit of a weird one.
I hear you, especially about the confidence. I feel like my confidence just goes in and out like crazy. Yeah. Right now, not particularly confident. But then maybe in a month's time it will be back out again, you know, and I'll be feeling good. I just think it's.
But what changes it for you? Or what improves it?
I think 2 things. I think I always feel super confident in like a camp teaching environment because I'm helping. And then the second is when I actually have time to play, be creative, like you're saying, consistently, and have that time. Because at the moment, because it's been so busy with teaching and booking camps and things like that, the time I've had to play is really minimal. So it's felt just a bit blur, nothing. Like having space, and I always say this to all my students, and I need to do it myself, is make the space to just explore ideas. I think when I'm getting into an idea and I think, I'm really inspired, this sounds so wanky, but when I feel inspired and I feel more confident because I'm into it, and I don't care what anyone else thinks because I'm happy. If I'm not inspired and I'm searching, then all will find that I'm searching for other people's opinions slash thoughts, and that's never in a good place for me.
Yeah, and I think it's this whole thing, like also with social media, and like we've said before about what people like, the impression that people give, because I mean, obviously you see lots of people who are doing their thing on social media and it's looking great and everything. You think, oh my God, that's so good. Oh, I'm really not there. Like, I'm really not. But I mean, you speak to those people and they also feel the same. They're like, oh God, I thought, that was such a mess, and I wasn't even going to post it. So maybe everyone is just feeling like this. It's just that they don't really talk about it, or I don't know. I think also when you do something like drumming, I mean, there's no end limit, is there? It's like you can always be better. So it's not like when you're teaching kids and they're doing grades or something, and you can go, yeah, well, I got my grade 8, which is like the top grade. But I mean, that's not the end, obviously. That's actually, when you look at professional drumming and the skills that there are that you can acquire, that's sort of near the beginning. So it's just limitless. I mean, you could be Thomas Lang. I'm sure he also thinks that he can still improve, but other people are like, so I guess everyone is always wanting to improve, and everyone always thinks that what they're doing is not good enough, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, and I guess I don't want to be, I never want to be that asshole who thinks I'm amazing and has got a big ego, because that just sounds hideous. And it's important to always be looking and searching, because you always want to feel inspired and get that feeling. And progress is really can be really addictive. My only worry for youngsters is, they're looking online and there's no real videos of people going fuck and like practicing and the grind. It's all the finished product. It's like the highlight reel, people say. And so for my adult students, they're okay because they've grown up without socials. But for the younger ones, if they get stuck, sometimes it's really tricky because they don't know what to do, because they have not seen it. And I also feel that with us a little bit. If you're just seeing a drummer at a gig and you're not seeing any other ways that you can work with drums and make it work for your family, then you're not going to know, and you're not going to explore it, and you're just going to think, oh, I'm a failure. So take it back to the beginning of this episode or conversation. You're going to think, oh yeah, I'm not gigging, therefore I'm not enough, or who am I? And really there's so many other avenues to explore and to enjoy that we shouldn't be afraid to share.
No, definitely. I think it's like also where your strengths lie with these things. Like, I mean, there's a time when I really enjoyed touring. There was a time when I really enjoyed being the editor of a drum magazine. So just then I wasn't playing, I just didn't have time, but I was fully immersed in drums every day and drummers. And then, okay, so now my life has changed again. So I'm still working with drums, but I'm not doing it like I was, like playing like I was, but I'm teaching a little bit. And so, it just evolves, and you have to just sort of accept where you are in life and sort of enjoy the parts of that, because it's still music, and it's still fortunate to still be involved in music. Some people really have to keep it as a hobby or whatever, or they put drums aside for years. And so, it's not that has happened for us. So yeah, it's tricky to sort of, I think it's always like, my point at the moment is that I think the grass is always greener on the other side. So again, I was having that conversation with someone the other day where she said, oh, are you playing drums at the moment? And I was like, well, not really. I mean, like, I teach a couple of lessons and I'm practicing a little bit and playing just for myself. But not like I used to, and I really miss that. But, you know, I've got my family, and I also really love my family, and I wouldn't want to go and like lock myself in a drum studio for the afternoon and not see my kids. So that's how it is. Sometimes it would actually. But, you know, that's just, they're not going to be little forever. So I guess I'll come to that in a few years.
Definitely. And I think I was in a really lovely position to be one of the judges for Hit Like a Girl this year. And I was blown away by the amount of ladies over 40 who had just started drumming, and it had completely changed their lives. Completely. Yeah. And they're not gigging necessarily, but they are full of joy because they have like an hour on their drums, and they just feel so fulfilled by learning and by, you know, discovering drumming. And I just think, it just watching all of those entries was just super eye-opening, just to know that, you know what, success changes as you get older, and it really should. I hope it gets documented that success can mean, you know what, that 15 minutes I just had to myself in the drum room was all I need. It's not necessarily playing a sold out show at Wembley, because a lot of touring is incredibly lonely. So I think just to share that playing and being able to play whilst having and raising kids is great, and that should be like celebrated all on its own, you know?
Yeah.
That you can try and do both.
Yeah. I had a situation recently, well, it's quite a long time ago now actually, but where I was offered some work to do, and it was translating a book by Joost Nickel, who he actually lives in Hamburg, same city as me. And I translated a book for him a few years ago when my daughter was like 6 months old. And my German wasn't as, I mean, it's still not great now, but it's good enough that I'm able to work with it. But
it is,
when
folks.
I think back to 6 years ago, I'm like, I don't know. I did that. It's not that good. I haven't studied like I should have done. That's something else I need to do. But so yeah, and he said that he'd written this beginner book, and would I want to translate it? And I worked on it, and I was like, do you know what? I've forgotten. Like I know what I'm talking about. There's stuff that I've studied and I've practiced, and this stuff comes really easily. But just after so many years of not really using it, I've just kind of forgotten that, and I've really started to put myself down about things. I was like, I shouldn't do that. I really need to remind myself just to, you know, like cut myself a bit of slack, because I might not be using all these skills that I've worked on throughout my life all the time, but it doesn't mean that I don't have them and that they're not there. And anyway, the book is really, it's so good. Like, it's really one of the best drum books that I've ever read. And I know that Joost put in a lot of work on it, and it's a great book. So I'm really pleased that that's been published. That's something that I'm really proud of this from this year. And so yeah, sorry, apart from talking about the book, the point is, just don't be hard on yourself, because it is also, there's stuff you can do, and just the fact that you're not using it all the time doesn't mean that you're not capable of doing it.
Yes, and what seems simple to you is so valuable to someone else. So that's probably why as well that beginner's book is so great, is because I feel like simple and like beginners are sometimes overlooked, whereas they need like the most guidance. And so in a way, you know, the things that we've done, I don't know, 20, 15 years, I don't know, maths, when we were at college, that we studied a long time ago, are going to be so helpful to someone else. And we shouldn't dismiss any of that just because, you know, I'm not off on tour.
Yeah, exactly. Have you got anything else that's coming up with you that you are able to tell about in this episode? Or is there something that you need to keep that back for later? That's maybe the wrong time. I should have asked you about it before.
No, so we were talking about dropping balls earlier because I've dropped them all like the past 2 weeks because there's just lots going on. So I've got my drum camps, but also I'm a massive fan of odd time signatures, as Gemma well knows. And I started writing a book in lockdown. It's taken me a long time. This is one of those things, Gem, where I'm doing a little bit, but I just need to get it over the line. But hopefully that's going to be coming out with Hudson Music digitally in the not too distant future. I just need to bloody finish it. And and it's hard because it's like my bar is very, very, very high. It has to be good. And so that's also incredibly scary. But I'm trying to juggle, I don't want to rush it. It needs to be finished, but it also needs to be done well. So
yeah,
that's one of those things that I'm asking for help for. I'm asking you to look over it when it's done. I've asked another person to look over it. I've also asked Neil, my husband, to give me some time on Saturday because I can't, you know, it's hard. It's really hard writing a book at 9 p.m. every night when I want to just go to bed.
Oh my God, that's the worst time. That's the time when I just fall asleep within 3 minutes of lying down on the couch. A nightmare.
Yeah, but it's good, and I'm excited. I just need to get it done, and then I'm going to be telling everyone and their granny about it.
I'm really excited. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to just doing whatever I can to help with getting it over the line. But it's going to be great. It will be.
Thanks. We'll see. Yeah. The last thing I do want to say, because this is going to be the first episode of season 2. And so I want to invite anybody to share this, comment, reach out to me or Gemma. We're on Drummer Mamas on Instagram. I'm Ciara Drums, Gemma Drums, I think, on Insta. Yeah. And I want to invite you to message and let us know if anything resonates and what's worked for you with this crazy work life thing with drums and parenting, and who you'd like to see on here. We've got a bunch of guests coming up, but let us know. Share with us what you would like to see on here. And thank you for listening so far. Join us next week where we'll have a guest and we'll talk more about everything that is drums and parenting. Until then, take care.